Hey guys, it's been a while since I've been on camera, so here I am. I got a quick little project for you, a little Arduino Adafruit trinket project, a little delay off nightlight action for you. So let's get started. I built this project for my elderly mother to mount it on the wall by the table lamp that sits by her recliner in the den. That's usually the only light she has on at night, and once she turns that off, she's got about a 12-foot walk over to the door to the kitchen where there'll be some light. And I just wanted a light to come on just to guide her while she's turned off the table lamp. She's 85, don't need her tripping and falling and breaking a hip or anything. But now I could have put in a motion detection light, but then it would be going off all during the night while she's in there. I could have put one of those with an LDR in there so that it only comes on when it gets dark. But then you've got to wait, it'll take a second or two for when she turns the table lamp off for that to activate the motion sense. And then it may not pick her up, and by the time all that starts happening, she could be halfway, across the den. So I wanted something that came on instantly. And so I didn't want any false triggering anything. I wanted this to do one job and one job only. And so that's why I went with this. It goes from bright to dark. Instantly that relay comes on for 30 seconds, and then it goes off and waits for the next light to dark transition. And in between that, it does absolutely nothing. So this is a very specific built little box here. First off, I got an Adafruit trinket. This is a little 3.3 volt version. The 3.3 volt version or the 5 volt version, either one will work. It's simply reading an LDR, light dependent resistor, set up with a voltage divider. The LDR and a 47K resistor sets up a voltage divider for the 5 volts there. That feeds one of the analog inputs on the trinket. And then one of the outputs, a digital output for the trinket, comes over and feeds this, provides a signal to this 5 volt relay. And it simply then turns on the LED strips, for 30 seconds, and that's it. And so the LDR via the code in the Arduino code here, I just monitor it and set my turn off and turn on points, and that's it. So these are pretty straightforward. This for power here, this runs off of, you can give it, I believe, anywhere from 6 to 12 to 16 volts DC, the Adafruit trinket. And the relay, it's a 5 volt relay board, so that wants 5 volts. And so I bought several of these little breadboard power supplies. I think I bought 5 of them off Amazon. They were dirt cheap. That's the first project I've actually found where I could, actually needed it. And so all this does is you have a 2.1 millimeter barrel jack input there. And this takes, I think it's between 6.5 and 20 volts, 6.5 and 17 volts. I'll put the tech info will be up on the screen right now. And so this takes this in and it'll give you either 5 volts out or 3.3 volts out via these jumpers. I set it to 5, although I pull straight off the bottom here. No, I pull right here off one of the 5. So I have 5 volts going straight to the Arduino, the Adafruit trinket to power it. And then I also pull 5 volts off this side going straight to the relay board. And then I pull 5 volts precariously off these little headers here to go over and do the voltage dividing for the LDR and 47K resistor voltage divider network for the analog input. And that's it. Then I pull straight off of, actually I pull straight off for this little JST tail here. I do pull straight off of it from the 2.1 barrel jack. I've soldered down on the bottom side of this barrel jack input because I'm feeding it 12 volts straight. And so the LED strips I'm running run off 12 volts. And so I've got that feeding straight from the 12 volts in with power going straight out to the LED strips. Ground going here to the relay and getting switched whenever it energizes. It gives it ground, and that's it. All right, first off on the code, I'll be honest with you. I'm not exactly sure what's going on here. I'm still learning Arduino code. And this deal here with a enumerated state and switch state, brand new, first time I've ever used it. I've seen it on the forums, but it's just something that I haven't delved into. If this was me writing this, I would have gotten it working eventually, but I would have used a lot of else ifs and it would be ugly. But this is it. This is all of it. There's nothing else to it here. And so as near as I can tell, we're setting up states. You tell us the 3 states that you have, idle being the default. You're setting the default right there. And then 30 seconds, which is your activation time, and then activation done. Then you set up your pins, 1 pin for output, internal pin reading from analog read 2, that's the LDR. And then it's simply setting up your 3 states. By default, it's idle, but if the reading goes below 100, it writes the relay high and sets activation time equal to the current time, which is millis, and sets the state to now be 30 seconds, the 30 seconds state. Then I believe it breaks out of this, and so it just keeps running this loop, but now we're in the 30 seconds state, and it stays in the 30 seconds state until this second if statement is met, which says the current time minus the activation time, which we set here, is greater than or equal to 45. And I start off as being 30 seconds. I decided to change it to 45 seconds, but this can be whatever time you want it to be. If this were 30,000, that'd be 30,000 milliseconds, 30 seconds. So if this current time minus activation time is greater than 45 seconds, then it'll write the relay low and set the activation state, the state to activation done. Then it'll break out, come back to that loop and sees that it's in activation done state, and it stays there in the activation done state until the LDR reading goes above 800, which is, she shuts off the lights at night. It won't go above 800 until the next day when light starts coming in the window, and probably not even then until she turns on the table lamp again, at which point, once it reaches over 800, it sets it back to state idle, and it starts this whole thing over. Now, this works perfectly. It works exactly the way I want it to. I've tested it here on the bench to work, because my concern was, hey, I wanted it to work, and it works. You go from 800 and anything over 800 to anything below 100. The relay kicks on, stays on for 45 seconds, and then shuts off and stays off until you go over 800 again. My concern was, what if it only gets up to 500 that day? What if she doesn't come in and turn on the lamp and just the sunlight coming in gets up to 500, and then, say she's not there all day, and then come sundown, it gets down to below 100 from 500. Won't that turn the lamp on for 45 seconds? Which isn't a big deal, but I was just concerned, would it do it? And I tested it here on the bench, and it doesn't. I can start off at 500 and go to less than 100 or 400 or anywhere in between, and it doesn't turn the relay on. It only turns it on when it goes from over 800 to less than 100. And again, I'll be honest with you, I'm not exactly sure why that is. So I'm learning. Probably by the time I post this, I will have learned more about this. But either way, here's the code, and it works. Load it up, use it. I have this one. This is for the trinket. This is specifically set up for the Adafruit trinket. And I also have one for an Arduino Uno, the same exact code, except the pins and everything have changed. So if you want to test it on an Uno, you can, and you can see and figure it out. But I got help with this. This is not from me. I got help with this from some guys over on the Arduino forum, and I want to give them their props here. This is where I posted the original, and these guys here, Robin 2, Paul Murray, CBR, and Gpop 1 weighed in, and they straightened me right out, and then got me going. and taught me quite a bit too. So thanks to those guys over at the Arduino forum. Go over there if you got any questions, and just make sure you tell them exactly what you need to do, and don't just post a snippet of your code. Post the entire code so they can look through and see everything that's going on. And be nice, be respectful, be willing to do the hard work yourself. Don't just go in and say, hey guys, give me some code. You let them know that you're trying, and you're just run to a brick wall, and they'll help you, but they want you to learn. So props to those guys. They helped me out a lot. I couldn't have gotten to this point without them. We'll feed it 12 volts. We got some little LED strips here I use for testing. I'm going to turn that upside down because that wire is a little bit short. Get these in the shot. There, that's nice and artistic. Looks awesome. Apply 12 volts. And so now the Adafruit trinket is just sitting there waiting to go from 800 on the analog input down to less than 100. So I'm going to use this Sharpie cover here to cover up the LDR, and that should simulate going from 800 down to 100, and it'll simulate Mom turning off her table lamp. Take this away. So it's gone back up to 800 or plus now, but it's going to continue until it times out 30 seconds later. Gives her 30 seconds to get out of the room.
Okay. They press the button, Billy? What button? You mean the button? Goodbye. Oh, yes. This ain't au revoir. It's goodbye.